On the 3rd of October 1981, the greatest Swedish player to ever grace a football was born in Malmo. Of course, you know I am referring to none other than the legendary Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The son of a Bosnian father and a Croatian mother, life wasn't easy for the young Zlatan. His parents divorced when he was just a little child, and being the son of an immigrant didn't make it easy for him. As he has written in his 2011 autobiography, when he was a kid he would steal bikes and would get involved in a lot of fights. He would have to endure many hardships, but there was one thing that gave him peace: playing football. In the streets of Rosengård, also known as the ghetto of Malmo, Zlatan would practice his football skills, which he would discover watching football videos and trying to imitate his biggest idol, Ronaldo, the phenomenon. He loved football, and he knew that if he had a way of changing his life, to be a great player was his only hope. So his hard work managed to get him into Malmo's academy. After playing for their junior teams, impressing with his talent, his big chance would finally arrive. In 1999, aged just 17, he would make his professional debut for Malmo. During his years at the club, the youngster registered 40 appearances in his 3 seasons there, netting 18 goals and providing numerous assists for his teammates. His style of play was different than what we saw later in his career. He would often showcase vision and creativity with decisive passes, or he would try various skills and dribble past defenders with elegance. Zlatan was a very agile player on his early days, but something that never changed, of course, was his attitude. His confidence, or arrogance, call it how you like, didn't come to him after success. It was already a part of his complex personality. When he was 19, Zlatan Ibrahimovic had found himself on the radars of Arsenal. His potential had impressed Arsene Wenger, who of course followed the procedures and offered him a trial, and the response from the Swede: "Zlatan doesn't do auditions." Although that may seem so natural now that we all know how great his career was, imagine having such an amazing possibility to sign for a top club and rejecting it out of yet unproven confidence. Well, that was Zlatan. Naturally, a top manager like Wenger wasn't the only one who saw something special in him. So did Lars Lagerbäck, Sweden's first coach from 2000 to 2009, who brought Ibra on in a friendly match against the Faroe Islands in January of 2001, therefore opening the path to an amazing international career. Although his move to London remained a what-if, it was time for him to leave Malmo, and in the summer, Zlatan Ibrahimovic officially signed for the Dutch giants of Ajax, and was given the number 9 on his back. His first goal in the Eredivisie came in the second game of the championship, where after being subbed in on the 60th minute, it took him only 4 minutes to put Ajax in front, helping the team get a win against Feyenoord. However, despite a good start, he wouldn't be favoured by co-Adriaans as a first choice, but when Ronald Koeman replaced him by the end of November, he would start getting more playing time. However, prior to that, Ibrahimovic would open his account with the national team in a World Cup qualifier match against Azerbaijan, where after flicking the ball past 2 consecutive defenders, he would score with an open goal off a rebound. Back in the Eredivisie, Zlatan's 10-goal contributions would help Ajax win the league title. In the Dutch Cup, Ajax had managed to reach the final where they would face Utrecht. Zlatan was subbed in on the 79th minute, where Ajax was 2-1 down. When it would all seem over, Ajax would equalise in the last minute of the game, sending it on extra time. And in the 95th minute, after getting the ball somehow showing his strong aerial play, Zlatan's left foot sent the ball in the bottom corner, electrifying the stadium with a sensational goal that gave Ajax the winner's medal. Not a bad way to perform in his first ever final. In his second season in Amsterdam, Zlatan's goal-scoring ability would rise to fame as he finished with 21 goals across all competitions. Ajax only managed to win the Super Cup that year, but Zlatan's personal achievement would undoubtedly be his performance on the Champions League campaign, where he immediately scored a brace against Lyon on his Champions debut. Ajax would reach the quarter-finals, where they would be knocked out by eventual champions AC Milan. Zlatan finished it with 5 goals and 2 assists, finally making a name for himself as one of the most promising youngsters in the world. In the 2003-2004 season, Zlatan would produce produce his best one in Amsterdam, being Ajax's key player in the Eredivisie title win. The Swede scored 13 goals in the league, from which 5 were on the last 9 league games. He also contributed with 7 assists and was Ajax's top scorer. However, where Zlatan goes, controversy follows. Not only did he make a name for himself with his elegant performances, but also for his controversial moments on and off the pitch. In August, during an international friendly between Sweden and Netherlands, he was accused of intentionally injuring his Ajax teammate Rafael van der Vaart. Naturally, after that incident, Ibra's days in Amsterdam were numbered, but even so, he decided to leave in style. On his last game for the club, while entering the pitch, he was whistled by the fans who supported van der Vaart's claim. The match was played in Ajax's home ground against NAC Breda, who scored first. Ibrahimovic equalised, and after 3 more goals from Ajax, on the 76th minute, Zlatan made the fans cheer for him in an incredible way, scoring one of the most beautiful solo goals of all time, where he dribbled past NAC Breda's defenders, making them look like training cones, getting himself compared to the likes of Maradona and Zidane. A departure fit for Zlatan, but before he moved on to his next adventure, it's important to note that during his time in Netherlands, Ibrahimovic met with one of the most influential football figures, his agent, the late Mino Raiola, who became one of Zlatan's best friends and mentors. And now, it was time for Italy to witness Zlatan as he signed for the great Juventus and immediately left his mark. On his debut against Brescia, he showed the fans that the 16 million that were paid for him would be worth it, as he dribbled 2 defenders and scored with a powerful right-footed shot. Sharing the dressing room with Alessandro Del Piero and David Trezeguet certainly helped the young striker understand more of his role as a forward, and by the end of the season where Juventus won the league title, Ibrahimovic scored 16 goals and contributed with 8 assists, being one of the most important players. Well, 16 nets playing against Italian defence, and considering in those years they had some of the best defenders in the world, it's pretty impressive. And for his performances, Zlatan won the Serie A Foreign Player of the Year award. In the beginning of the next season, Ibrahimovic won his first gold Ballon, the prize awarded to the Swedish Player of the Year, an award which during his career, Ibrahimovic would monopolise, winning it a record 12 times. The most that it's been ever won by another player is 2. In the 2005-2006, Ibra was a shadow of what he portrayed in his first season, due to Capello changing his role in the offensive line from a central to a wide player, which dramatically affected his numbers. Although Juventus won the Scudetto again, because of the Calciopoli scandal coming to light, both titles were stripped of them and the old lady was demoted to Serie B. This caused Mino Raiola to quickly work on a new future for Zlatan, and in August of 2006, he signed for Inter, beginning a new chapter on his career. At his first season at Inter, Zlatan truly started establishing himself as one of the greatest strikers around. It was with the Nerazzurri that the Swede really gained his reputation as a prolific goal-scoring machine. His first game for the club was the Supercoppa Italiana final against Roma, which Inter won in extra time, and Ibra contributed with an assist. On his Serie A debut for Inter, he scored his first goal for them after receiving a beautiful pass by Cambiaso. One of his most important performances that season was the one in the first Derby della Madonnina against Milan, where Ibrahimovic scored Inter's third in a thrilling 4-3 win for the Nerazzurri, something he repeated in the next derby where he gave Inter the win in the 75th minute. Ibra finished as Inter top scorer in the league and helped the team win the Scudetto, but this time nobody would strip it from him like it happened in Turin. The 2007-2008 season would be even better for the striker. He would start scoring and scoring, leading Inter to win after win in the league, and in the Champions League he scored 5 times in 7 games, despite Inter not making it past the round of 16. However, things got complicated in the Scudetto race when he got injured. With Zlatan on the pitch, Inter had won 18 games and drew 5. When he picked up the first injury, missing the next 3 matches, Inter only got 2 points out of them. When Zlatan returned, more positive results started coming in. However, in a very delicate moment in the season, his knee problems knocked on a door and he missed another 6 games. Inter managed better this time. However, a loss against Milan and a draw against Siena on the 36th and 37th match days gave Roma the chance to get closer, and before the final match of the season, the Giallorossi were only 1 point behind them, meaning Inter had no choice but to win. Luckily for them, Ibra recovered and his brace against Parma gave Inter the Scudetto, and of course, the Swedes' performances performances couldn't go unnoticed. This time he wasn't just given an award as the best foreign player in Italy, but he also snatched the Serie A Footballer of the Year award after an amazing season. His third year with the Nerazzurri shirt started with the win of the Supercoppa Italiana on penalties, and with a new manager on board, Jose Mourinho. Knowing how these two are so similar in their personalities, it isn't a surprise that their relationship was phenomenal, as the Portuguese himself has stated. Under Mourinho, Zlatan exploded. He had already established himself as a footballer of many great qualities: strong, fast, great in aerial play where his high stature came in handy, but for a player of his size, of course very agile and athletic, deadly in and out of the box, but also a man of great composure and vision, often highly creative in playmaking. It was also during his Inter days that he got his nickname, Ibracadabra, because of his outrageous acrobatic goals, which he produced so often, leaving football fans in awe. His backheel goal against Bologna on October, which is an evidence of his crazy scoring skills, won the Serie A Goal of the Year award. All of Ibra's countless talents shined even more with the special one in charge. He was the key figure in a third consecutive Scudetto with Inter, scoring 25 goals, being named as the Foreign Player of the Year, the Serie A Player of the Year, and for the first time in his career, the Serie A top scorer, which he still considers one of his greatest achievements due to how hard it was to score against Italian defense. But now, a new adventure awaited Zlatan. In the summer of 2009, he signed for Barcelona in a famous swap deal that included Samuel Eto'o plus 46 million euros, a deal that was supposed to be the dream move for the striker, who was joining the biggest club in the world, made up of pure talent on every side of the pitch. The missing European trophy on his cabinet was surely to come wearing the Blaugrana shirt. After winning the Spanish Super Cup and the UEFA Super Cup, Ibrahimovic played his La Liga debut against Sporting Gijón and found his first goal for Barcelona with a header on the bottom corner. In the next 4 games, he would score a goal each and also make 2 assists, making a perfect start of the season, being the first ever Barcelona player to score in the first 5 league games. It seemed destined to work, and even when he picked up a minor injury that left him out for a short while, on his return he immediately took the matter on his hands. In the El Clasico, after coming on in the 50th minute of the game, it took him only 5 minutes to score a beautiful goal with his left, scoring the only goal of the game, thus sealing the win for Barca. By the end of the year, he had played 13 games in the league and scored 11 times while also providing 5 assists. In the moment, he had even scored more than Lionel Messi, but after that, things would start going downhill for Zlatan. First, it was his relationship with Pep Guardiola that broke down completely. In 2010, the pair barely spoke to one another. Well, how can you perform when your relationship with the coach is terrible? Then it was what Ibra claimed to be the formation change, moving Messi to the central spot. Of course, that's with a young genius like the Argentine on the squad, the game would be orchestrated around him, and although their relationship was good, it seemed that there was no place for Zlatan anymore. His numbers dramatically decreased, and to make it worse, they got disqualified by Inter in the semis, who went on to win the Champions League. By the end of the season, Barcelona clinked the La Liga trophy, but Zlatan, he had lost his identity, he had lost his confidence. A move away from Spain was certain to happen, and so, Ibra's time at Barcelona ended after only 1 year, going from a lovely dream to a terrible nightmare. He summarized his time there in the way Guardiola played him in one statement: "You bought a Ferrari, and you used it like a Fiat. If only he was given the opportunity he needed." A return to Italy saw Zlatan once again in the city of Milan, but this time he would be representing the Rossoneri. He was signed to the mighty AC Milan, a club who knows the Champions League all too well. However, they hadn't won a major trophy since 2007 and hadn't been able to win the Serie A since 2004. Although their star players were not on the primes anymore, Milan had some amazing names like Ronaldinho, Seedorf, Gattuso, Pirlo, and Nesta, and also a very promising attacker named Alexandre Pato. His first goals for Milan would come in their first Champions League match against Azur, where in front of the fans in San Siro, Ibrahimovic would display a great performance, scoring a brace and giving Milan the win. Milan would qualify for the round of 16 and a draw to set them with Tottenham, where the Englishman got the better of them. In the league, his first goal for Milan came in September against Lazio, where after a throw ball from Seedorf, Ibra dribbled the goalkeeper, flicking the ball over him and slided it in with his left. Although the match ended in a draw, Milan would start getting a pretty good form where in the next 7 games, they would only lose to Juventus despite Ibra scoring and winning all the other 6. And now it was time for the Derby della Madonnina. For the first time in the red and black shirt, it was expected to be a very heated game as always, but the fact that Ibra was now playing for their rivals naturally didn't make the Nerazzurri fans too happy. In the 5th minute, Zlatan won a penalty and converted with a powerful strike. The result wouldn't change, and Zlatan would once again prove his worth as a game decider. In the rest of the fixtures, scoring and assisting game after game, he would be Milan's key element. He finished with 14 goals and 12 assists in 29 league appearances and was rightfully named for the 3rd time in his career as the Serie A Player of the Year, after being the main man in Milan's 2011 Scudetto win. As always, where Zlatan goes, titles come. The next season would start with a goal and a win against Inter in the Supercoppa Italiana, and after that another net in the first match day of the Serie A. During the 2011-2012, Zlatan would be an absolute beast for Milan, scoring 35 goals and contributing with 12 assists in 44 games across all competitions. He finished the Serie A top scorer with 28 goals. However, Milan finished as runners-up, only 4 points behind Juventus, who won the title. Although Juve accomplished a fantastic season remaining unbeaten in 38 games, we should mention that in their direct clash in the league, which ended 1-1, if Milan won they would have gone 4 points ahead in a very important moment in the season, and they almost went 2-0 up, but the referee decided not to give the goal scored by Montari, which normally it was a goal because it had crossed the line. Anyway, Juventus won, and in the summer, even though Ibra admits not wanting to leave Milan, due to their financial problems, both he and teammate Thiago Silva were sold to Paris Saint-Germain, and from there on out, Milan went downhill. After a big presentation with the Eiffel Tower behind him, Ibra's day in the League One would come with a brace against Lorient, saving PSG from a loss in the first game. That was just a taste of what he would provide for the team, as he finished the season with 30 league goals and 10 assists, leading Paris to their first league title since 1994. Ibrahimovic concluded the campaign as both the League One Player of the Year and top scorer, and in the Champions League, despite his great performance in the quarter-finals against his old club Barcelona, the Spaniards won on the away goal rule after the match finished 3-3 on aggregate. During this same season in November, Ibrahimovic gave us one of the most iconic ever performances against England in an international friendly. After scoring the first goal of the game, England came back and scored twice. The score remained 2-1 until Ibrahimovic equalised with a stunning shot in the 76th minute after controlling the ball with his chest. Just 8 minutes later, he scored directly from a long-ranged free kick, boosting everyone's spirit in the stadium, and when it felt like it was the moment that the curtains would be pulled up, in the last minute of the game, after Joe Hart cleared the ball with a header from 30 meters out, Ibrahimovic scored with the most amazing bicycle kick the world has ever seen. Of course, that goal won the 2013 Puskas Award and the best goal of the year, and during the same ceremony, Zlatan was also included in the 2013 FIFA Team of the Year. The 2013-2014 started with the win against Bordeaux in the French Super Cup, where Zlatan assisted PSG's equaliser. In the league, he would once again prove his dominance, scoring 26 goals and providing 15 assists, leading the league in scoring, winning another League One Player of the Year award, and of course, clinging back-to-back league titles. During a game against Bastia, he once again showed his acrobatic masterclass, scoring a volleyed backheeled shot, a goal which won the League One goal of the season. In the Champions League, Ibra performed very well. He netted 10 times in 8 games. However, unluckily in the second round of the quarter-finals against Chelsea, PSG lost 2-0, and by missing the game due to an injury, Zlatan wasn't available to give his contribution. PSG also won the League Cup, ending the season with a domestic treble. In the 2014-2015 season, PSG would win all available trophies domestically: the league title, the French Cup, the French Super Cup, and the League Cup. In the finals of the Super Cup and League Cup, Zlatan would score a brace, each leading the Parisians to glory. The next season, in his last year in Paris, Zlatan would record his best ever season of his career. The Swede scored 50 goals and contributed with 19 assists in 51 appearances across all competitions. PSG won another domestic quadruple, and Zlatan won another League One Player of the Year and top scorer award, although he carried PSG in a win against Chelsea in a round of 16, in the quarter-finals against against Man City they failed to win, thus leaving Ibra empty-handed in the European stage. On his last game for PSG, in the French Cup final against Marseille, after scoring twice, he received a standing ovation and left as the club's top goal scorer. In his own words, "I came like a king and left like a legend." At 35 years of age, Zlatan found himself signing for Manchester United and reuniting with Jose Mourinho. Nobody would bet on this transfer to be anything special. However, Zlatan is used to surprising people. On his debut for the Red Devils in the Community Shield, he scored the winner in the 83rd minute, winning his first silverware with the club. That wasn't the only final decided by Zlatan, as later in the season Manchester United managed to reach the EFL Cup final, where they faced Southampton in 26th of February. Zlatan scored the first goal with a beautiful free kick, and after Lingard made it 2-0, Southampton came back drawing the match. However, in the 87th minute, Zlatan headed the ball in, deciding another trophy for Manchester. Zlatan also didn't fail to leave his mark on his Premier League debut, where he scored with a long-distance shot against Bournemouth. He managed 17 nets and 5 assists in 28 league appearances, and was one of Manchester United's best players in their Europa League win that campaign. 9 goal contributions in 11 appearances, not bad for a 35-year-old. Despite having lost his speed, agility and dribbling on the later years of his career, Zlatan displayed that his experience only made him better. His scoring ability improved as he scored more after his 30s. Although he was performing in a very high level, a career-threatening injury in April against Anderlecht cut his season short. Fortunately, United won the trophy, giving Zlatan his only European medal, but everyone was sure that after severely injuring his meniscus, Zlatan's career was over. But Zlatan decides when it's time to stop, and 7 months later he made his return on a game against Newcastle. However, despite getting some minutes in a few games, he couldn't be the same anymore, and he left Europe, following the greats' footsteps, and joined LA Galaxy in the MLS. Now Zlatan wanted to conquer USA. On his debut after coming on in the 71th minute, it took him only 6 to score with a volley from the halfway line, and after that, a header in the 90th minute to complete the comeback. Zlatan arrived in style. You know, star players always move to MLS to end their career, to enjoy a couple more seasons, to relax and set up their new path after football. Well, not Zlatan though, as in 58 games for LA Galaxy, he scored 53 goals. A nice number of them were pretty amazing goals, must I add. Included in them was also his 500th career goal, which he scored in his signature karate style. Only Zlatan could score such an important goal in that style of fashion. Upon announcing he would leave the club after conquering USA, Zlatan wrote on his Twitter account, "You wanted Zlatan? I gave you Zlatan. You are welcome. Now go back to watch baseball." To everyone's surprise, Zlatan returned to AC Milan just a few days after Christmas in 2019. Being 38 years old, he signed for 6 months, and everyone thought it was just a ceremonial return. Milan were having another disastrous season. It seemed like nothing could be done. Upon arriving, Zlatan told everyone that he came back not as a mascot, but to make a difference. He wanted to return Milan to where they belonged. Of course, nobody was expecting much from a 38-year-old who came back to Europe from MLS, but we are talking about Zlatan Ibrahimovic here. From his first games, it seemed like the young Milan team started playing differently. Everyone was running more, and the game was significantly improved. Zlatan's impact on the changing rooms and trainings was immediate. He even scored and gave an assist in the derby against Inter, even though Inter overturned everything in the second half. Milan was still fragile, but signs of revival were there. Against Juventus, he scored Milan's first goal from the spot in their big comeback against the Old Lady. Witnessing progress, he decided to renew his contract for a year. Although they only finished 6th before his return, Milan had 8 losses in 17 games, and after Zlatan, they only lost 2 in the remaining 21 fixtures. Zlatan scored 11 goals and produced 5 assists and 20 appearances. He promised the fans that with him, the Rossoneri would surely win a Scudetto, which seemed like a mirage on the desert for Milan fans back then. In the next season, he scored a brace in the opening match against Bologna, and after missing 2 games due to COVID, he made his return in a Derby della Madonnina, a big test for Milan, where Zlatan scored another brace in 3 minutes, leading them to victory. It was their first win against Inter since 2016. Milan were having an amazing season, even leading the table for many weeks. However, lots of injuries and lack of experience had Inter overtake them and win the title, but their second place finish meant they returned to Champions League football, from which they hadn't been qualified since 2013. Zlatan was their top scorer, with 15 goals in 19 league games. In the 2021-2022 season, Ibra was now 40. He had promised that Milan would win the title, and this would probably be his final chance. Despite his desire to play, and when doing so making the difference, his legs didn't care about his strong mentality, and gave him a very hard time, picking injury after injury. Even so, in the first half of the season, he scored 2 goals and gave some assists, including 2 beautiful free kicks against Bologna and Roma. However, from the second part, his support came mostly from the bench, as he was unavailable for many games, and when he could, he would only get a few minutes. Anyway, his impact on the team's mentality never stopped, and with 5 matches remaining, the title race was heated between Milan and Inter. Against Lazio, the score was 1-1, and with Inter being on top, Milan needed to win. In the 92nd minute, after numerous attempts, Zlatan gave a hard-fought ball to Tonali in the box, and the Italians scored, winning the game for them. After Inter's loss to Bologna, Milan found themselves in first place, and with both teams winning their last 4 games, it only meant one thing: Milan became Serie A champions in the last match day of the Serie A. Zlatan kept his promise, and he went on to celebrate in his style, with a cigar and a champagne. Ibra decided to stay for another year. However, this time, his injuries would be unrecoupable. He only managed to register 144 minutes, but that didn't stop him from scoring a goal against Udinese, wearing the captain's armband and breaking the record for the oldest scorer in the Serie A at 41 years of age. In the morning of the last Serie A match day, he announced that he would hang his boots. His injuries finally took their toll on him. Zlatan was saluted in the San Siro in front of the team and the fans, who were in tears along with Zlatan, who couldn't keep himself from shedding some himself. He may have never won the Champions League or the Ballon d'Or. Despite being Sweden's top scorer with 62 goals, he never reached any national glory. However, with over 570 goals and 32 trophies, he is one of football's greatest ever players. Zlatan gave us joy. He made us fall in love with football. He showed us that even a little kid playing in the streets of Rosengard can make it in life. Zlatan's legacy is his mentality, the will to never give up, strength, confidence, always believing in yourself. If he was a villain or a hero, I'd say he was both. And as he quoted himself, "You can take the kid away from the ghetto, but you can never take the ghetto away from the kid."